Okay, greetings and salutations, golf fans, and welcome back to Nice Grass, Nice People. Kyle here, joined by Mr. Beige, as always. Beige, looking dapper, a button up for today's podcast. As I mentioned beforehand, things are feeling very regal on the podcast this week. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm a working man. I gotta, sometimes wear a shirt with buttons on it. I just felt like it's jacket season, so the least I can do is have a shirt with buttons on.
Jacket season. I thought this is full fledged spring. I thought the heat and humidity is out here. We can just go short shorts, 5-inch inseam.
Sir, you
Short sleeve button up.
misunderstand. You misunderstand. It is jacket season because you get a green one in Augusta, and then you get a plaid one in Hilton Head Island, of which we have a fan favorite donning the new jacket. So that's what I'm saying. We got a lot to talk about today, as always.
Egg on my
But
face.
yeah, this guy's not in the mindset. He's got to get locked in.
I'm glad. Well, I'm glad at least one of us knows what the hell's going on in the golf world. Because I got to be honest with you, man. I assume that there's a lot of people, a lot of golf fans, even people that work in golf and produce golf programming, such as you and I, that probably didn't watch a ton of golf this past weekend, despite the fact that there was, like, I don't know, 5 different professional events going on, including a signature event on the PGA Tour. I don't know, man. Let's say we're 8 days after Rory McIlroy's victory at the Masters. It's still really the only professional golf related thing that I'm really thinking about. Am I alone on an island here, or have you fully moved on to the rest of the jet? I'm not going to bury the lead, but I am. Like, have you moved on to Justin Thomas getting his first win in a couple years, and the next part of the season, or how you feeling?
It was really hard to focus on an elevated event in the RBC Heritage on such a great golf course at Harbour Town. It was so hard to focus on it because it's almost like you just had the biggest, highest high ever. And the hangover from that was all week. All week. It's everything your Instagram feed says, everything anybody's talking about in the sports world. And then you're like, oh, yeah, just a couple days later, an iconic tournament of the year is happening. I don't know if they can switch those up, but you're just cheapening the heritage when you put it so close to the Masters, especially when you have an outcome like that.
I totally agree with you, and yet I've actually heard some other folks in the golf space kind of saying how it felt really wrong on Thursday that they were just jumping right back into a tournament after such an exhilarating, amazing golf tournament like the Masters. And yet by the time the weekend rolled around, they were like, "Gosh, I don't know what I'd be doing without golf right now." So maybe thank goodness, you know, thank goodness they're righting the wrong for me, right? It's like I wouldn't have had this, but now that I have it, I feel like I kind of need it. I didn't quite get there. I think there should just be like a full-on week hiatus from the PGA Tour and all the top players after each major, because I feel like these tournaments are so massive, especially when you get one like we had with Rory, that is just filled with so many storylines and so many implications that kind of spread throughout the golf world. I feel like we just need an uninterrupted, like, 10-day window to just marinate and discuss. Again, this is not an original thought by me, but just having the Masters and then an event right after it's something that's so uniquely golf that we don't ever get in any other sport, that it's tough for, as American sports fans, to wrap our heads around it, because it'd be like you got the Super Bowl, and then the very next weekend we've got Falcons Panthers. A couple NFC South Titans going for a Sunday night football game right after the Super Bowl. It's like, I mean, yeah, I love football, but like, just watch a Super Bowl. Like, I don't need Falcons Panthers right now. And as golf fans, I wonder how many people were in that same space. Like, I don't know, man. Like, we just had the fucking Super Bowl. Like, it's time to kind of capstone and recap. And it's like, I don't know if I'm ready to rock and roll, but hey, the PGA Tour does not stop.
It is what it is. And looking at the other majors of the year, there is a 1 week break basically after the PGA. You go to the Charles Schwab, but then Memorial is 2 weeks after, and that's an elevated event, always a great one. But then immediately following the U.S. Open in June is the Travelers Championship, which is also an elevated event.
Yeah.
So they do it right after the Open Championship as well. They get back into like the 3M. I think by the time the 3M comes around, we're going to go like, I don't really know if I necessarily care. But yeah.
Trust me, when the 3M rolls around, I can give you a guarantee, a personal guarantee, Beige, that I will not be caring. It's totally up to you. You're in America. You can do whatever you want, but I personally will not be caring. No disrespect to the great people of Minneapolis.
Yeah, it'll be tough at that time, but yeah, we're right in the throes of it now. I mean, what do we always say is that the golf season really starts after Augusta. So, I mean, we're all in. That's me playing, you playing probably, and the PGA Tour. Like, it's golf season, baby. So I'm ready to rock and roll through some of this stuff. And it started off with all sorts of great stuff this week, I think.
Yeah, I mean, hey, need no more evidence that it's golf season other than the fact that young Squire, my little boy, got his first golf bag today. Took him to the old golf shop, bought him a new golf bag, which is hilarious. My wife almost started crying, not because she thought it was like an amazingly like sweet gift on my part, because she just couldn't believe how small it was. I
Yeah.
don't know, so those humans, man. Sometimes emotional humans, they just they get choked up at the strangest things. But yeah, golf season started. The dude's got like his own little kit now, and a golf bag. He's not just carrying them around in his hands anymore, which means I got another new golf buddy here, which is great for me. I'm ready, man. I'm ready for golf season. And plus, weather outside could not be more cherry mint. It's like 75 degrees and sunny. It's like too hot. I say that as somebody who doesn't have to deal with any humidity, so shame on me. My apologies.
I'm just saying it's 75 for us too, but it's already in the feels like 85 category. So I have a little sunburn going from my rounds this weekend, but
hell yeah.
Definitely the dudes of South Carolina probably took in a little sun.
Mhm.
You know what I really love is not only did we have 2 jacket tournaments in a row, but we had 2 playoffs in a row. I don't know if what did you catch? What did you catch of the tournament this last week?
Little to no. I mean, I would say my golf watching routine is such that, again, I got a little boy that I'm tasked with ensuring that he doesn't harm himself from sun up to sundown. So most of my golf watching is not done live. I'm auto recording everything, and then as soon as he goes to bed, clean up all the dishes, get the house cleaned up, and then just go collapse on the couch and watch golf for an hour or 2 or 3 until like I inevitably fall asleep on the couch for an hour or 2, and then migrate to bed around 2 o'clock in the morning. That's mostly my golf watching evening routine. I still couldn't get quite there with how lax that routine is. I still couldn't quite get that done with the Heritage this week. Obviously it's Easter weekend, so there was stuff going on with family stuff going on. And then on top of that, man, I just like I said, I couldn't get my head, couldn't wrap my mind around anything other than Rory McIlroy and the Masters. So I don't know, my heart just wasn't in really watching the Heritage this weekend. I did put on the final round on mute this morning when I was just doing some chores around the house with my little man. But again, audio was off, and I only got to where the Novak and JT were on like the 11th hole. So to answer your question much more succinctly, Beige, I watched very little.
Well, it was a sports frenzy yesterday for all you sporty sports fans. Yesterday were 2 PGA golf events. You had a Formula One event. You had baseball out the wazoo. There was playoff basketball. There's stuff going on right now. So if you like ESPN,
trust me, I watched a lot. I guess that's the other thing. I watched a lot of basketball this weekend, which typically, playoff basketball that doesn't include the team that I follow. But I can take it or leave it. But I actually ended up watching like at least parts of all 8 NBA games on Saturday and Sunday, which is very rare for me. And I think that also probably had quite a bit to do with the lack of Heritage that I took in. How say you?
Oh, I mean, I took it all in, baby. I played a little in the morning, and then I set up every screen that I possibly have. And I think we did have 2 good golf tournaments here.
What is that number, by the way? What does the screen total get to for you?
Boy, I split screened 2 laptops and had the YouTube TV on a couple different things. So I think I was probably playing it at any given time, anywhere from like 4 to 12 different things going on. Oh yeah, it's getting to the end of the Premier League soccer season.
Great job by you.
That stuff too. I know, man. I had the time, and if you have the time, go ahead and spend it in front of the TV. That's what the doctors say.
That is a really impressive degree of multitasking. I for one am border. Again, I apologize to anybody else, but I'm borderline retarded when it comes to multitasking. I just can't do it. Anything, 2 things, I don't know, more than 2 things are completely out of the question. 2, so much, even from watching, I am robustly impressed by your ability to just focus on that many different things. It's why you make such a good co-host.
I was dividing attention in many, many ways, but the main screen was typically spent on the RBC. Again, I didn't get to watch a whole lot going into the weekend, but I did spend some time with it on Sunday afternoon. And if you look at the finish here, you had 10 guys within 5 shots of the final score. Mm-hmm. So it was still anybody's battle all the way to the end. You had a surging Scotty. Si had every right to win, kind of blew up on Sunday. Maverick McNeely, Tommy Fleetwood, all in the hunt. Even my guy D Bergs, we got another Berger in the house who made a late charge, shot a 65 on Sunday, but it did come down to JT and Novak. You know, Novak really kind of, it kind of seemed like he could pull it out. They both shot 68s. Certain putts didn't fall. And when you go to a playoff, if you don't have a PGA Tour win and you see somebody who's got over 15 PGA Tour wins squared away with you on that tee off of the playoff, you can't be feeling good. You just can't. And it showed.
Yeah, Andrew Novak, great story, by the way. A guy that just played his way into these signature events just by playing great golf. Again, not some people say it's turning into a closed circuit tour where, once the guys are good and you're up there, you can kind of stay there, and you got to be really bad and it's tough to play your way in. Andrew Novak says, excuse me, sir, I'll have another, and I'll take another signature event, please. And oh, by the way, yes, would I like to win? Of course. Am I happy to be taking a $2 million check home? I'm not upset, so good job by Andrew Novak as well.
I mean, he is now 34th in the world. Did we know who he
crazy.
was like a year and a half ago?
No.
Even maybe a year ago or at the beginning of the season, you're like, oh, that's one of those names. We'll see if they materialize. He's 34th in the world. So you got to love it for the man. But
yeah, fuck yeah.
What was not able to pull it out. And I think that it was a little bit of a split reaction is what I saw with the JT win. You have the camp that is, we love to see the stars win. And they were very excited about JT getting his first win since his PGA a few years ago, 2 years ago, not sure. And then there were others, and I kind of put myself in this camp. They were like, I'm kind of in it for the story now. And I didn't feel like it had all that much pop. Did you feel anything about JT winning, even though you didn't watch the tournament?
I mean, having watched him, play really, really good golf this year, I felt like, man, it'd be sweet to see him get a win. He's playing good enough golf where, I'd be stoked if he did. And he won yesterday, and when I found out, because I wasn't watching, like I found out that he was just reading the news, I was like, oh man, that's great. And then I kind of just went on doing other things. Like again, Rory has broken my golf brain just because like I felt things in a way that like I haven't felt as a golf fan in a long time, where it's kind of numbed me to other stuff going on in the golf world, at least for the time being. By the time the PGA rolls around in a couple weeks, I'm going to be ready to rock and roll. But like I said before, I need like 10 days to like 2 weeks to just really process and appreciate how awesome that Masters tournament was. And unfortunately for JT, that means that his win at the RBC is just kind of going to be like, hey, that was good. Like, I wasn't tuned in though. I don't know. I don't have a lot to add to that because I didn't really watch it.
No, I think a lot of people feel that way. Rory McIlroy felt that way and took the week off, thank God. But one quick note that I saw JT say in the post-game presser, they were talking about his putting and how much his putting's improved this year. And I thought that this was an outstanding display of sportsmanship and just maybe like the state of professional golf. JT said...
Called that penalty on himself. You see that?
That was great. That was great. Good for him. That's sportsmanship to a T, which kind of is like, am I being a good sport here and they're going to love me for it? Or do I run the risk of being Patrick Reed? I don't really know. It's not really worth it, man. Just call the penalty. But here's what I was going to say is they said, what happened to your putting? Why did that get so much better in the past few months? And he said in the offseason, he was so upset with the state of his putting. He called Xander Schauffele and he said, hey, Xander, you're one of the best putters out here. Can you tell me a little bit about how you think about putting? And he said he talked for hours and hours with Xander Schauffele and got some feels and thoughts back in his game that kind of brought him back. Because looking at the stats, in 23 and 24, respectively, JT was 135th and 174th in shots gained putting. That's bad for a top 10 golfer, right?
I mean, it's certainly not good.
Drive for show, putt for dough, and this guy was not scoring. So I just found that to be mind-numbing that a star player would go to another star player, and that guy would help him get back. Much like Rory saying to Scotty, hey, man, I think that it would fix your putting problems if you went to a mallet. And then Scotty goes on a tear. Like, hey, Rory, why'd you do that, bro?
Totally.
Keep it to yourself.
I think it's part of what makes golf so awesome, though. Like, it's just those are the type of things that I just don't see ever happening in another major professional American sport. I just heard like a story as well, like back about the 1996 Masters, where Greg Norman famously, just vomited all over himself on Sunday. But I guess he was having some crazy like back problems, like leading into the tournament. But ironically, before he goes and ties a course record and shooting 63 in the first round. But apparently, like, he was coming in like barely able to walk, and then Fred Couples, who was notoriously had back problems all throughout his career, uh, went up to Greg Norman, was like, "Hey man, I heard your back like is really struggling." Greg says yes, and Fred's like, "Hey, let me send over your like my back guru, like my guy that works with like, let me send him over to you and like let me get him all get you fixed up and see if we can work it out." And helped Greg Norman to the point where he went out and shot 63 the next day. That just doesn't happen in other American sports. Are you going to have? I mean, I don't know. Juan Soto is now on the New York Mets. All of a sudden, he goes into a little slump. Does he call up, Giancarlo Stanton on the Yankees and be like, "Hey, man, like, what are you doing? You got any thoughts for me?" Like, it just doesn't happen, like, at all.
You like to think the answer is yes, they would. I
LeBron
don't
doesn't
think
call up
so.
Steph and ask him for shooting advice. And Steph, I mean,
Well,
granted, Steph might be one of the few guys that would give it to him because Steph's just a fucking nice guy, and I'm a biased Warriors fan, and I think he's excellent. But it just doesn't happen, and especially for two of the very best players in the world, like a Xander and a JT. Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool, and also like Xander, what are you doing, man? The guy just went out won the golf tournament.
Who knows, too, because if you're so good that you're just focused on perfecting your game, you might say like, "Hey, man, I want to beat the best at their best. I don't want to beat somebody slumping. I don't know. Tiger Woods would not have given advice. I can say that much.
Never going to fault a single professional athlete for fully embracing the iron sharpens iron mentality. Like it's like, hey, if you want to like be the best and you want to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and be like, I feel really good. Like, you want to have gone up against people at their absolute best and see how you have, see how things shook out. And honestly, I just respect the living hell out of that. So good job by Xander here.
Yeah, good on all parts. I thought a pretty darn good tournament. Impossible to follow that Masters, any Masters, but especially that one. But it wasn't, it wasn't to me the biggest story on the PGA that happened.
I saw this with the Joel Damon thing that happened down in Punta Cana.
Boy.
I watched exactly 0 seconds of that golf tournament, so I cannot speak to what took place personally. If you got some highlights or if you watched, by all means. But I have no idea what happened down there.
Well, first off, you got to give the flowers to a guy who wins, right? Like, good on Garrick Higo for getting his first PGA Tour win.
I think it's his second.
Great stuff.
I think it's his second PGA Tour win.
Man, did he win another one of these?
Yeah, like right after he turned pro, like as like a 21-year-old or something. But again, that was also very under the radar.
Well, let's just say this. Down in Dominican Republic in Punta Cana, Joel Damon looked to be the wire-to-wire guy through 63 holes. He entered the back nine, won over on the day, but, he was in pretty commanding lead. He birdies 11, pars a par 5, then bogeys, and it's like, okay, we're still looking good. And then he ends the tournament, bogey, 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 including a 2-foot putt miss, and he loses by 1. And I think I'm with all.
You absolutely hate to see it.
Not just all golf fans, but sports fans. Anybody who watched the Netflix documentary on the PGA Tour on Full Swing, you root for the guy, and that's also just golf. That's just golf. Is like right when you think you have it in your hands, it's like catching a fart in the wind, man, and it's just gone. So he said,
"I see Rory McIlroy raising his hand over there somewhere." About the last weekend's back nine as well. Yeah, golf's crazy, man.
How does that happen? So really feel for the guy. He gets a T2. I think it's a pretty limited paycheck there. The total purse was $4 million, where the RBC Heritage was 20. So I don't know what they all split there in second place, maybe $250 a piece. But
he's still probably really walking home with a couple $100,000. Could have been worse.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, I won't dive too deep into that one. It was a little sad to see, but that's another thing that happens sometimes. You get two PGA tournaments happening at the same time, hence my multiple screens.
Yes, better days ahead, hopefully, for Joel Damon. The only other tournament that I think we'll mention on the podcast, like I said, there was a bunch of stuff going on. There was a Korn Ferry Tour event that I heard Neil Shipley won, which is cool. Everybody enjoyed watching Neil Shipley play with Tiger at the Masters last year, so good job by him for getting a Korn Ferry Tour victory. And then Ingrid Lindblad, former LSU Tiger and multi-time Augusta National Women's Amateur contender, got her first win at the LA Open. The JM Eagle LA Open. This year being contested at El Caballero Country Club Typically, this is the best like regular season PGA Tour or LPGA Tour event on the schedule because it's at Wilshire Country Club, which is a fantastic golf course. However, Wilshire going under a lot of renovations, despite the fact that it just got totally redone by Kyle Phillips like 12 or 13 years ago. Apparently, when they redid that, did their massive renovation, they couldn't actually afford to implement all the stuff that Kyle Phillips wanted to do, which included a new irrigation system. So they
Mm.
basically redid the golf course and kept the old irrigation in there. And apparently that became untenable. So they're in like a full, like 16-month shutdown as they're basically just polishing up all the infrastructure throughout the golf course. So thankfully, the LA Open for the women will be going back to Wilshire for next year. So there's like a 1-year hiatus. They actually dipped all the way up to the valley. I think it was in the San Fernando Valleys where this golf course was located. Caught a couple of minutes of it, but once I saw that it wasn't at Wilshire, and then on top of all the basketball and other stuff that was going on, with the holiday weekend, didn't get a chance to watch as much ladies golf as I typically do. But good job by Ingrid Lindblad. And excited for it to go back to Wilshire next year. I don't know. Any thoughts on the women's game this week, Beige?
Well, no, you're right. It was a sports frenzy this past weekend, so I also did not get a chance to catch any of it. I'm not going to knock the JM Eagle sponsorship because I just realized recently I should stop talking so much smack on the sponsors. They're what make the world go around.
I
So
agree.
you know what, JM Eagle? I don't know what you make. I don't know what you sell to the world. It's probably getting dinged up by tariffs right now, but thank you for sponsoring the event. We're grateful for you.
The world of golf needs you. The professionals and their purses need you. So good job by you, Mr. Eagle. All right, that's all I got for results from this past weekend, Beige. Do you know what time? Do we need to get to the news?
Oh, baby.
Let's get to some news, everybody.
You were so close.
I almost got you.
Finish it.
There was still like a full 10 more seconds on there. I felt like I let it go a little bit longer than I normally do. I mean,
I always do this. I got to let them know. Then because it could. No, there you go. That's the
Beige
end.
absolutely loves the full 30-second clip, which
you know what? It's just like a dance break.
It's honestly, as soon as the breaking music starts, you basically become our Gus Johnson.
I'm gonna like choreograph something there, and we'll have like a team dance. Anyway, there is breaking news. Hit us with it.
Okay, so breaking news. Well, I don't know if I'd call this breaking news, but this is actually
kind of breaking. It was kind of breaking. It came out of nowhere.
This is well. I'm actually not sure which news item you're talking about. I was actually thinking about jumping into the actual news that broke a few days ago, where guess what, Beige? Our calls have been answered. Our desire to have actual meaningful mixed team golf in the Olympics is officially happening. It was announced that mixed team golf is coming to the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. There's going to be men's, women's combo teams competing in the few days between the individual events for men's and women's golf, which of course is going to be taking place at Riviera, as the Olympics are in Los Angeles in 2028. This is something that golf fans have been clamoring for since golf returned to the fold in 2016 at the Rio Olympics. Beige. When this news broke, was elated. I could not wait to talk to you about this on the podcast because I feel like this is almost instantly going to become one of the coolest golf events on the calendar, and it's almost a shame that it's only going to take place once every 4 years.
Prayed to the golf gods and they delivered. I think there are so many exciting tactical things that we're going to talk through. If it is truly Scotty and Nelly, and they're playing foursomes and they have to figure out who's teeing off, where do you want to leave it? Things like that. I think it'll actually showcase and be a huge benefit to women's golf because we'll be able to look at them next to each other and say like, all right, short game wise, we're on the same exact page. In terms of accuracy, there might be like a tight par 4 or something that they go like, actually, this might be a Nelly play here because she's going to dime one dead on a rope. And I don't really know if I trust a driver from a long hitting dude who just wishes it was wide out and open. So exciting. And I did think this was breaking because I didn't know this was happening at all. It just kind of popped up on the news feed in the Rory
came out of nowhere.
I
know when it came out of nowhere at the end of last week, I was like, wow, not so much of a slow news day anymore, at least in the golf front. This is like really wild. So is your guess now? I don't have exactly the details here, Beige, in terms of how many teams like any one country may be allotted. I would imagine that if it's a single man, woman, two person teams, I would hope or expect that like a country like the United States might be able to have 2 teams in the competition. But hey, if it's just one, I mean, is there any if you're leading Team USA Golf right now, Is there any other option other than Scotty Scheffler and Nelly Korda, as like you mentioned? Or I mean, what are some other, team combos that are kind of rolling around up there?
I think they'll probably do something like they did last year and base it off the OWGR, whether it's a flawed system or not. I don't know who chooses that. Is it whoever's the head of the Olympic Committee or something? I'm not sure. Is that Annika Sorensen's business? I'm not sure.
She's involved, but I don't think it would be her. Because I honestly, man, I was just starting to think about a couple of the different teams that are going to be in this event, and like I started to get really, really fucking pumped. I mean, think about like Scotty Scheffler and Nelly Korda versus I like Hideki Yukasaso, or something like that, for coming from Japan. And then you have, I don't know, Ludwig and Madeline Ludwig and Maddie Sagstrom, or like Ingrid Lindblad from Sweden. It's going to be really, really fun, man. And again, for Team USA, I mean, who knows? Your guy Bryson might have a thing or two to say, by the time it comes around for Team USA. I mean, it's just going to have such a fun wrinkle for how we interact with golf at the Olympics. I just could not be more excited, and I'm simultaneously like, kind of like, God dang, I can't believe we got to wait 3 more years to see this, man. It's gonna be awesome. But hey, it'll give us plenty of time to pontificate, and try to figure out what's going to happen. So I don't know, man. I'm elated. I'm excited, Beige.
Who does Lydia Ko play with from New Zealand, do you think? Like Ryan Fox or somebody?
Fox. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, there's not a ton of great New Zealand players. Now, question for Australia. Or wait, are the Woos New Zealand, or I think they're Australia, right? Does Minwoo and Minji play together? Do they get the brother sister team from Australia? How sick would that be?
Whoa! I mean,
Yeah.
he's got to be better than Cam Smith, Jason Day, Adam Scott. But boy, I don't know. That'd be really exciting. I mean, that might be the first. That would had to be the first. That would be the first Olympic brother sister team combo ever, right? I can't imagine anything else.
Our stats department, it might take them a little while to get on there, but we'll put R&D on that and see if they can figure that out for us by the time today's program ends. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man, it's really, really fun. Like I said, because a lot of the golf world is concentrated into the top 10 to 12 countries, produce so many of the golf's top players. Like I said, I hope that like places like United States and Australia get to have more than one team, but if they don't, man, that is like just the decision of who the teams are going to be is going to be a cutthroat enterprise in and of itself. So should be a lot of stuff coming on the Olympic front here in the next couple of years. So anyway, I'm super excited. I'll bet you we dive into this no less than a dozen. We're probably going to dedicate a dozen episodes to this before the Olympics in 2028. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, man. Yeah, very, very excited about that. Please,
just to note that Minji and Minwoo both played in Paris, but they obviously were not on the same team. So if they can both keep form, maybe there is something there. Sorry, go on.
Hell yeah. Okay, on the non-professional golf front, some other news that actually broke this morning on Monday, April 21st, that I think is amazing for somebody who plans golf trips for a living and likes to do quite a bit of golf travel personally and with the homies. It was announced that Pinehurst Resort, the Bandon of the East Coast, as they like to say, is opening and building another new golf course. It's at a place that already has 10 golf courses. You thought that maybe they had reached a breaking point, but no, sir. Pinehurst number 11 was announced this morning. It is going to be built by none other than the architecture duo of Bill Corr and Ben Crenshaw, two of the best living architects in the world today. I don't know why that came out so weird. Sorry, I'm just got a little sip of water here. But anyway, the new golf course is set to open in 2027. It's going to be part of what I think they're calling the Sand Mines project, which is it's a parcel of land that's about a couple of miles away from the main complex of Pinehurst Resort, where the main clubhouse, number 2, number 4, 1, 3, a lot of the golf courses are. But it's going to be right next to number 10. So it's going to be this cool little spot a couple miles from the main complex where you're going to have Pinehurst number 10 and number 11 right next to each other. I believe the plan is to build some additional lodging over there. Beige, I don't know, man. Anytime you get guys like Bill Corr and Ben Crenshaw building a new golf course that is going to be open to the public, I get a little hot and bothered, and I cannot wait to share this on the podcast and talk it over with you, man. It's as if I needed one more excuse to go to Pinehurst every year. Well, I got one. I'm feeling good. I don't. Is this something that moves the needle for you?
Well, you might feel like, damn, guys, like when does it end? You know, like there's a yet another, but the fact is, uh number 10 that opened in 2024 seemed like the last and final. So this is kind of a surprise out of nowhere. But if you look at the opening years of the other courses, number 1 was in 1898, number 2 in 1907, number 3 1910, number 4 1919. So it was pretty much just 4 for another 50 years. And then 5, 6, 7, and 8 were 61, 79, 86, 96. They picked up a ton there. They purchased number 9, which was 1988, the Jack course. And then there was a long break. So it's not exactly like they're doing a new one every other year. It just so happens that they've got the land for it. And they wanted to add Corin Crenshaw, an original there, to really round out the who's who of Donald Ross, Fazio Brothers, Reese Jones, Jack. They're making a play at being the single most, rounded out architectural golf resort in the world.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that Pinehurst has that like somewhere like Bannon does not is a mix of golden age architecture as well as modern minimalist architecture, which I think a lot of golf architecture enthusiasts would kind of identify as the two highlights of the history of golf architecture, kind of when we've been building the best golf courses, right? In the golden age first and foremost, and then a lot of today's modern architects like your Tom Dokes, your Corin Crenshaws, your Gil Hanses, the guys that have embraced the style and strategic value of golden age golf, and have used modern technology to then build their own masterpieces over the last 25 or 30 years. So that is really, really cool. I also think it's kind of wild, as you mentioned, this is the 11th golf course, and at what point a golfer might think like, hey man, like this is awesome, like I don't want to complain about more great golf, but like I've only got 3 or 4 days, man. Like I already have more golf than I'll ever be able to play. Like I don't need more golf. So like what gives? And I I haven't spoken to the CEO of the Pinehurst Resort, so I can't tell you certainly, but based on conversations I've had with the people at Bandon Dunes and some other spaces, um, they cannot meet the demand for the amount of tourism and the amount of golf tourism that people have for places like Pinehurst and Bandon Dunes. And that's why Bandon's thinking about building another new golf course, right? They just just opened Shorty's last year. It's like they just cannot build enough golf to meet the demand. And so for something like this to essentially basically make like a sub resort within Pinehurst, right? Because this is like a little mini resort that's part of Pinehurst that's not on the actual main portion of the Pinehurst property. Yeah, man, they're going to build this golf course. It's going to open in 2027, and tee times are more or less going to be sold out 12 months a year, at least for the first handful of years. I say all that. If all of our 401ks continue to get absolutely starched and nobody has any savings in a year or two from now, which seems totally on the table, maybe not. But as long as the world and the United States economy doesn't fall into complete free fall, and there's still a 1% out there, these golf courses are going to be busy indefinitely.
Well, it's an interesting narrative about country club culture versus golf tourism. I think I'm a pretty good example of this. If you were given the choice of making one huge initiation down payment to play the same course and have all the things you get with a country club, or you decided, I'm actually going to go see 2 or 3 of these new joints every single year, if that was the same amount of money, I'm probably going to try to go see something new. Now, the Pinehurst thing is funny because I was like, man, I was just there a couple of years ago. Do I now need to go back and do the same thing? You kind of do to take it all in. So, I mean, I guess the more the merrier, may 1,000 blossoms bloom, as they say, and more golf is good golf. But I'm excited to see Corin Crenshaw do this. Also because, as people remember, in 2010, I think, they did the pseudo redesign of number 2, which I think was a little bit of a reversion.
And that's one thing I wanted to bring up as well, because Bill Coore grew up in North Carolina. I mean, he played at Pinehurst a lot, like growing up, but in terms of his professional life, yeah, he's not unfamiliar with Pinehurst. Go back and watch the 1999 final round of the U.S. Open. And look how just it looks like a completely different golf course. If you go back and watch how lush and green Pinehurst number 2 was before the renovation that took place in the early 2000s, it is not the same golf course. Now the greens, that was the one thing that have always kind of been the same, but like you're talking like nice fairways, huge lush like rough, green grass in the rough. There's no wire grass, there's no natural area. Like the golf course that we know now, the one that Bryson DeChambeau won on last year, is nothing like what the golf course had evolved into over decades between the 50s and the beginning of the 21st century. Bill Corr and Ben Crenshaw were the ones that spearheaded and did that entire renovation. They brought on Kyle Franz as one of their associates during the renovation of number 2. And as I mentioned on this podcast before, then he went on to then redo number 3 to make it kind of like a mini Pinehurst number 2, and then subsequently stuck around in the area and helped, restore and bring back all the Donald Ross courses at Pine Needles, Southern Pines, and Pine Needles. And so it's just this really cool legacy that the Corr and Crenshaw firm have kind of left in Pinehurst, and now for them to come and build their own original golf course at the resort feels fitting. And like it's again, for nerds like me, it's super exciting. Yes, when 2027 rolls around, you can bet that SUAVE Golf will be making another trip to Pinehurst in short order after that.
Bing, baby, mark your calendars. Yeah, the stats that I was going to say on the redesign of number 2 is they took out 35 acres of rough and 40 bunkers to reintroduce the natural sandscape, the wiregrass, things like that, to make it look as close as it could to Donald Ross. So if they don't have to take anything out, in that short video they released, he was talking about, look, the avenues are already here. We're basically introducing Scottish golf amidst pines. And that could also be really interesting. I don't know if we directly know what that looks like everywhere. So, I don't know whether I go before this is opened, or maybe I go once and then I come back for my third time. I don't know.
I think in all likelihood, you will probably go. If I had to guess, I'm going to say you're probably going to go to Pinehurst at least one more time before 2027. And then in all likelihood, I would say you and I will go together in 2028. Give the golf course like a year to grow in before we spend the ducats to get all the way out there. I don't know. Maybe this is like maybe this is that. I feel like this is probably an appropriate time. There is going to be a SUAVE Golf trip taking place to Pinehurst next spring before the Masters, from March 29th through April 1st. So that is going to be open. Registration is going to be opening for Pine Haven 2026. On May 1st, just about 10 days from right now. I expect, Beige, that you and I will be running court out there. So just, keep your eyes on that, ladies and gentlemen. SUAVEGolf.com. Tournament will be posted on May 1st. That's when registration will open up. Going to go play numbers 2, 4, 8, 10. And again, I have not played number 10. I've played the others before. I'm very excited because, I've heard a lot of comments. Like we said, number 10 and number 11 are going to be right next to each other, Beige. And yet I'm hearing that the land that number 10 sits on is very, very different from the land that Bill Corr and Ben Crenshaw are going to build their golf course on next door. The land that number 10 is built on, Tom Doak's design, very dramatic, very severe, and lots of big elevation change and slopes kind of throughout the golf course, blind shots. And it seems like the land that they're going to build number 11 on is much more subtle. In fact, I see a quote here from the president of Pinehurst Resort, Tom Pashley, saying that the two courses really couldn't be more different, and we love that. And the designs of number 10 and 11 complement each other so well by contrasting so much. And that golf in the North Carolina Sandhills can be an experience unlike any other. We believe Pinehurst Sand Mines, which is, again, what they're calling the complex of 10-11, will be a great representation of that. Quote from Bill Corr, we're far, far from the sea, but we have these contours and features and landforms that remind you a lot of spots in Ireland or Scotland, and yet here it is in Pinehurst. One last little thing, and Corr characterized the land as it's really choppy and ridgy around there, which should make for a lot of fun, intimate golf. So I don't know, man. That's all I got for you for now, Beige, at least on the number 11 front. I'm absolutely stoked.
There's a ton to be excited about. A lot of great golf coming.
Yes. Speaking of great golf coming, Beige, last thing, this is not so much news, just wanted to put on everybody's radar. Did you know the first women's major of the year is this weekend?
I do now, baby.
The Chevron Open, formerly the Dinah Shore, formerly the ANA Inspiration in Palm Desert, is going, I think, for year number 3 at this pretty boring golf course in Texas, Carlton Woods, I believe it's called. Lily Avu won the first one, I think. No, Nelly Corda won last year. Um, I feel bad, man. I like watching women's golf more and more each and every year, and yet like calling this one a major, like forcing this one to like be a major, still just doesn't really feel right to me. But I don't know. That's
It's the sponsor's
semantics.
point
Yeah.
because you need sponsors to make the world go round, and naturally, there's just not as much money right now in women's sports as there are in men's. That is changing rapidly.
Mhm.
But I felt the same way about when I went with my dad to the U.S. Maybe it was it was the Ford Senior Open in Detroit, and it was considered a major. And I'm like, the Ford, like not the U.S. British PGA or Masters. It's called a brand name, and that made it a little cheaper to me. But at the end of the day, like a major is what we call it. If we decide that this is a major, it just is. There's no rule, because some might say Tiger's a lot closer to Jack than it seems because of all those amateurs that he won. Who's to say? The golf writers just decided. So if you want to call the Chevron a major, I'm all in. So who cares about the name? I'll definitely be spending some time watching it because, like I said, golf season is open, and it's time for me to start paying attention to what's going on the LPGA.
And it's a golf tournament where all the best female players in the world that are healthy are going to be competing together, which, it does happen more in a greater abundance than it does on the men's side of things. But, hey, there's still few and far between where you get all of the best players in the world playing in a tournament together. So for that, it'll be great. I do feel like they're trying to force some tradition on this golf tournament, to try to give it a little bit of an air. So I don't know if you're aware of this, Beige. Did you know that at the Chevron Open, the year's first major, similar to the way they do things down in Augusta just a week or two ago, that they also have a champions dinner at the Chevron Open? Were you aware of this?
Tell me everything.
So Nelly Corda, our defending champion, in a move that I actually think I would kind of recommend for a lot of the Masters champions, outsourced her dinner menu. Now, does that rub you the wrong way at all? If you're a professional golfer and you're tasked with hosting a dinner, would you painstakingly go through everything like a Hideki Matsuyama did and pick that perfect dinner, dish by dish, ingredient by ingredient that best reflects you and the country that you come from? Or are you more in the, hey man, like I'm a golfer, like I'm not a chef, like why don't I just find the most intelligent person I can when it comes to the culinary arts and just have them help me out? Is there a camp that you personally would lean towards, and is there a camp that you would lean towards that you'd hope for the golfers in your life that would be tasked with hosting a dinner like this?
If food is your passion, go ahead and pick it. If you love great food that other people prepare, then pull a John Rahm and bring Jose Andres in there.
It's a great call.
And just have the greatest meal possible. And it sounds like that's kind of what she did. Is that what you're about to say?
Yes, she did. It says that her menu was curated by chef Thomas A. Keller. Are you familiar with the Tom Keller?
The French Laundry, baby.
Yes,
Isn't it just like the greatest restaurant in the world?
It is commonly referred to as one of, if not the greatest restaurant in the world. It's actually a local haunt here. I think from my driveway to the parking lot of the French Laundry, it takes roughly 51 minutes with no traffic. Just got to hop over the hills and from Sonoma County over to Napa County.
Sounds like you're bragging.
I've never eaten there. Would love to. However, the $1,000 to $1,200 a head for food and wine. Tough with a toddler or tough with a 4-year-old. By the way, I'm asking a guy that's is 4-year-old, is that a toddler still, or is that just a full-on little kid?
I don't really know what their age is until they're in high school. I just kind of look at them and go like, what are you now, 6? They're like, I'm 13.
I'm 13, bro.
You know what?
Love that.
Kid life.
But I will say this: Thomas Keller's menu, in honor of Miss Nelly Corda, does look fantastic. Can I briefly go through the menu with you, Beige?
You have to. And we got to give equal parts as we did to the cheeseburger sliders.
Let's see here. To start out, you have hybrid caviar, big eye tuna tartare with cucumber. To start, fabulous. I'm all on board. I think that sounds great. We're then going to follow that up with a little cream of mushroom soup. And then for your entrees, herb roasted filet of Snake River Farms American Wagyu beef with some goulash sauce, served with deli salad. I don't know what a deli salad is, but I'm very fascinated. It sounds very, very good. Along with some Sacramento Delta white asparagus, some yams, glazed mushrooms, and then we're going to top it all off with some spring berry dumplings with toasted poppy seeds for dessert. Sign me up. Sounds good.
Deli salad sounds like what I used to do in my 20s when I'd come home a little too drunk. Just grabbing a bunch of turkey and ham and housing it and going to sleep.
It can't be like a Italian like antipasta plate, can it? Just like some lettuce with a bunch of salami and stuff all slapped up on top, on the top. Either way, it sounds good to me.
I'm not above Taco Bell, so it all sounds.
Wait, actually, I'm sorry, I don't mean to go off on a side tangent. Where does Taco Bell stand in your fast food power rankings?
Number 1. It's not close.
Yeah, me same, dude. Good for you.
Yeah.
Have we talked about Taco Bell on this program before?
I don't know if we have time to get into this right now.
All right, we'll table that one for a later date. Taco Bell, by the way, if you're looking for some way to jump into the golf space, we are unbelievably available for sponsorship opportunities. So Taco Bell, please find us. nicecraftnicepeople@gmail.com. Would love to respond. Love to help. Love to help the business. Anyway,
further the journey.
Journey. Chevron this weekend should be fun. But Beige, that kind of does it for news for me, unless you got something else.
No, the only note I'll make about the Chevron is our girl Lauren Coughlin is coming off a T3 at the JM Eagle.
She's hot as a pistol right now.
Oh, Billy, let's see it. Let's see a W. Let's see a W from
runner up in the match play,
great.
And then comes right back with another top 5. 2 weeks later, coming into the first major. So yeah, Lauren Coughlin playing awesome golf here. I hope she keeps it up, and if she finds herself in the winner's circle next weekend, I personally will be extremely excited. That would be an amazing story. All right, man. Let's stop wasting our time. Not that we have been wasting any time at all during the course of this program, but it's time for This Week in Golf History with our dear Professor Beige. Professor, would you like to learn us up here a little bit on what's taking place in the golf world historically?
All right, kids, quit your dillying and quit your dallying. It's time to turn to page whatever for April 21st to 28th, This Week in Golf History. We got a few of them for you. I'm going to stick with the theme. We've been talking a lot about Corin Crenshaw today. April 23rd, 1995. Ben Crenshaw won the Masters days after Harvey Pennick's death. And you remember the scenes of this one. He, elbows on knees, starts to sob.
Harvey Pennick is lifelong instructor and honestly, instructor at large. I mean, the man wrote the Little Red Book, for Christ's sake.
He wrote the Little Red Book. And if you're out there and, you don't know who Harvey Pennick is, shame on you. If you haven't read the Little Red Book and you don't have a copy nearby, also shame on you. I think it's like $12 on Amazon. Get it now. That was an emotional victory. And it was around that time that Corin Crenshaw had really started picking up their design. Really big comeback win, because remember, his first win, I think, was in 84 or 85.
Yeah, 11 years between wins, I believe.
That's a huge gap. So a wonderful thing to remember. April 27th in 1969 was the first Masters that was televised in color. And for a place that leans so hard on their pops of color, whether it be the azaleas, the pink dogwoods, you name it, this was a pretty monumental thing. Don't know the winner because I don't care. The winner that year was color television.
Is it 1979?
69.
Oh, 69. Interesting.
Way better number.
All right.
Nice. April 27 of 1997 is when Nike turned right around after a Tiger Woods first Masters with the Hello World commercial series, which was just Nike owning the stage. And they continued to do that all the way through his 2005 number 16 with a little Nike swoosh going over. This call out of history is just a props to Nike, because if you want to, go to YouTube, watch that Hello World Nike campaign that they put on immediately after that happened. And little did they know he was opening up the greatest tear in maybe sports history.
For sure.
Wonderful.
Oh, by the way, just I want to interject real quick. A Mr. George Archer won his lone major championship at the 1969 Masters, for anybody out there that was curious.
Good for you, Archer. Man, and you did it in color. I'm seeing it in color.
Just barely beat out Billy Casper and Tom Weiskopf.
I mean, that's tough for Weiskopf. He's the best second-place finisher of all time. The last of 4 things this week in golf history. I'm going to call out David Frost. And you know what? Look at me. I'm going to tell you what happened, but I seem to have misplaced the date of this. But I just could not help but mention this. In the 2005 MCI Heritage, before the RBC took over, Mr. David Frost set an all-time low record of putts over a tournament. 92 putts. That is split up into 23 putts on average per round. Can you imagine 23 putts for 1 round? This guy did it for 4 rounds. And you know the craziest part about this shit? Directly from the article, though his putting was exceptional, it didn't necessarily translate on the scorecard. He finished in a tie for 38th.
Hell yeah.
6 over, tied for 38th with no putts. So this must have been like the guy's missing
Dude, that
fringes.
is sick.
Yeah, he just missing right and left, and he had a lot of really nice little up and down short game things. But
fuck yeah,
boy, I played this weekend, and I think I might have had 92 putts in 1 round. I don't even know, man. I could not keep the ball into the hole. But
wait, I'm sorry, not to hit the brakes here, but what's going on with you? You're usually a pretty good putter. What's going on?
Me and the lab are having we're on the fritz.
Someone's about to get sent back to the lab.
Dude, that's exactly what's happening. At 7:30 a.m. on Thursday, I'm having my first ever putting lesson because I'm tired of this shit.
Great.
In my life, I have taken 2 different series of lessons. The first series of lessons I took brought me from like a 16 to a 10.
Great.
And then the second took me from a 10 all the way down to last year. I was down to a 4.2. Things were grooving. Now I'm back up to like a 7.6 or something like that. And it's not because of my ball striking. I've been hitting the ball really well, but I cannot putt for a tinker's darn. And that's got to change because penny cups only come but once a year. And I'm prepping. I've been prepping since the day after last year's penny cup, and it's time to lock it in.
So the last time we were talking about your putting on the program, Beige, at that point in time, which this is right before we went to Bandon last month. At that point in time, the putting was okay, but you were still feeling really good from like inside 7 feet, right? That was kind of what you were saying. Hey, the lab, say what you will, but like inside 7 feet, I still feel really confident, and I feel like I'm making more 5 and 6 footers than I ever have before. Is that also now gone by the wayside, or is that still consistent and everything else is feeling a little tougher?
So I stand by my take here that all putters work and no putters work. It is truly the confidence of the one who wields that putter.
Always the Indian, never the arrow.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And in this case, I was leaving Bandon, and my buddy Bobby, he goes, my caddy was ragging on you a little bit because he goes, man, why is he tipping his toe up with that lab putter? Those lab putters are supposed to be flush on the ground. And I went, what? I didn't know that, but I can tell you what, I missed about 15 putts under 5 feet this week, and I just assumed that it was because Bandon's tricky, not because I was toe up. So then once that happens, you go like, okay, now I'm going to focus on that, and then you start playing golf swing, start playing putting motion rather than putting, and so my confidence has been totally shellacked, and I have spent a lot of time hitting golf balls in the hideout or wherever in my golf simulator, but I haven't spent a ton of time out doing the work like I have over the last few years. When you just go out, maybe twice a week for a month, just go to the course and set up tees and do putting drills and do that. I haven't done that yet this year, but I also kind of want to refresh because I've never had a putting lesson. I'd like somebody to say, hey, dude, no wonder you're missing all these. You're treating your arc like X and it should be Y, or you're taking it way back and not that far through, or whatever the mechanics are. I'd like to learn. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's fine. But I do want to learn more about how to putt from a theoretical standpoint, and then we'll see where we go from there. And it's probably, like I said, not the lab putter's fault, but we will see. That's a little bonus for you guys on the little golf history.
I wouldn't ask unless I was wildly interested. So, I mean, again, my guess is that there's a fair amount of people listening to this program, Beige, that are also probably dealing with some putting struggles or some... how to say an evolution of one's own putting stroke is always taking place. So it's good to know that there's other people out there. It helps us feel seen. So thank you for opening up and sharing with us. It's very personal.
I will have much to report next week because after this putting lesson, I've got a couple days to get my act together because on Sunday is my season opener on the Amateur Players Tour at Champions Run. So we'll see if I can knock down the competition in Division 2, which is like it's 3 to 8 handicap in D2, and I'm coming in there hot 7-7. I actually I even tried to play kind of bad to see if I could pop myself up into the 8s before this thing happened, and what do you know, I went out and shot a 76 this weekend. So
good for you.
I guess, like the only time I can go low is when I'm trying to go high. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see.
Golf,
I'll
man.
come back here in a week and let you know if my putting woes have been fixed. Hopefully
Okay.
with some hard.
I'm waiting with bated breath to get an update on the Beige putting stroke. I think that's going to be fabulous. Oh, well, hey, now seems like as good a time as any, Beige, to kind of revert back to a tournament that we've already mentioned. I don't know, 16 different times in this program that didn't take place over this past weekend. Is it time to go there?
I said last week that we would do a full dedicated podcast to this, and I really appreciate that we didn't, because we would have beat it to death. But we left some meat on the bone, even with a 90-plus minute podcast last time. We got to get in, unpack some of the 2025 Masters right now.
I would agree. For Rory McIlroy. Currently Rory McIlroy. Rory, Mr. McIlroy. Harry Diamond, Justin Rose. Rory yeah. You had enough?
You get it, folks. You get it. The side commentary was very helpful. I like that. Harry Diamond and Justin Rose, and I forget his caddy's name. They were all walking the fairway.
They were all walking the 18th fairway. Okay, so I wanted to do a little exercise with you here, Beige. We kind of wanted to do winners, losers, and wanderers. But I figured it was worth to spend 2 or 3 minutes here just kind of talking about Rory. Rory after the Masters. Between Sunday evening and now, because unlike a lot of these past Masters champions, Beige, you find it interesting that Patrick Reed wins in 2018, and what is he doing? He's on the late night show on Monday night. He's sitting courtside at the Cavs game on Tuesday. And a lot of these Masters champions, when they finally get over the hill, they get the green jacket, they cannot wait to just put that thing on and just be a man about town and just do all the different stuff. And I do find it interesting, albeit not surprising, that Rory has gone the complete opposite direction, and that has more or less, I feel like he hasn't really made a single public appearance since he left the grounds of Augusta National last Sunday, which honestly, awesome. Crazy, awesome, but yeah. I don't know. Has it surprised you at all that he's kind of just disappeared here for the last week?
How many tournaments has Rory McIlroy won? Rory McIlroy professional wins.
It's just shy of 30 PGA Tour. I think if you include European Tour wins, he's at almost 40 worldwide professional wins, which is
this guy's won a couple times, right? He's yes. Got to be in the top 10 most winningest of all time. I don't think he gives a shit, and I don't blame him about all the regalia. He has been exhaling for the last 8 days. So good on you, dude. Take a vacation. Hang out with Poppy and your wife. Hang out.
Apparently he did just that. Now, I have heard that he came down with a pretty gnarly cold as soon as the Masters was over, which, again, not totally surprising given the sea of humanity that he was, vibing amongst during Masters weekend. But I do believe I saw some reporting that he touched down in London last Tuesday, spent a couple days there, and then his plane landed in Belfast to go visit his folks in Northern Ireland a couple days later, I believe last Thursday. And it's not totally known whether or not he is still there or if he's already en route back to the States. However, if he's not on his way back already, he's probably going to be in the next 24 hours, because guess what? Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry are going to be defending their Zurich Classic title this upcoming weekend in New Orleans. Hell yeah. Let's go. Dude, very sick that his first appearance is just the team golf event with Shane Lowry afterwards. I love that.
You know what I love about this, too, is that obviously Rory McIlroy is probably the greatest golfer alive at the moment. We can say that with the utmost certainty, even around Scotty, even though, by the way, Scotty seems like he's playing like ass, but he's still third place in the FedEx.
Nobody's more pissed off to finish top 10 every week than Scotty Scheffler.
It's crazy. But another one of the hottest golfers alive is Shane Lowry. He's around on every Sunday. So watch out. There's every reason to believe they're going to run away with it for the second year.
Yeah, I would be picking the boys to boat race the field if everybody's feeling good and feeling healthy. Also, I thought this was a cool little note here. In the couple days after last Sunday's Masters win, Beige, the Royal Mail of Great Britain commemorated Rory McIlroy's career Grand Slam by stamping a special message on all pieces of mail from April 15th to April 17th. I believe it said, "Congratulations on your career Grand Slam." I don't know. Did you any? I think it's pretty cool. I can't imagine well, all right. Let's
remember this. Remember that Bobby Jones had two ticker tape parades in New York City. I'm sure like right in Times Square or something on his amateur wins. This is that. This is that. I mean, you just don't get those same kind of things anymore. But that's the closest thing that the UK can do to a parade down the streets of London, and all the while, he's from Ireland, so Northern Ireland. So I mean, real class move by all of them. I also saw one other thing, and this is hilarious. I mentioned this. That he was watching Manchester United before he actually teed off on Sunday. I thought bad move because that's a bad team.
I remember you saying that last week.
They went ahead and lost again yesterday. But before the game started, their manager, who's looking like he's going to get fired, he had a little message on the broadcast where he goes, Rory, please come visit us and celebrate your Masters win. Congratulations on everything you did. And I was like, dude, you're using the broadcast to invite this guy to come over? Like, no one's coming. No. Don't do it, Rory. You got a good thing going. You don't need to touch any.
It might have been the only chance he had to stop talking to Rory McIlroy. Might have hurt him. Yeah, he had to take a swing. Good for him.
Yeah, he did. It was a crazy thing. So, there were a lot of things going on to celebrate Rory's win, and rightfully so. But he's not the only winner, as you've pointed out. There are many winners. There are some wanderers, and there are definite losers.
Honestly, if I didn't know any better, Beige, I think you've been doing this, this hosting podcasting thing for like 5 decades. The transitions that you lead us into are really of a Jim Nance caliber. I need a tip of the cap to you, brother.
I'm talented.
You
what
are.
Can I say?
You're very, very talented. To be in the presence of greatness like I am right now is a true honor. So thank you. Yeah, let's talk a little winners. Let's talk some losers. Let's talk some wanderers. Yeah, again, I just can't get over how fucking awesome that golf tournament was. It's crazy. So where do you want to start here, Beige? Do you want to start with our winners, or do you want to take a look at some wanderers, some losers?
Fire away. Winners.
Okay. So I don't know if you have anybody to add to this list. So I just wrote a couple of the ones that I had noted down from notes when I was watching the tournament, and then obviously made some additional notes as I was just digesting all of the debriefing and the recaps and all. I mean, by the way, for you, if I say over under on the amount of Masters recaps / articles about the 2025 Masters that you've read and consumed in the last 8 days, if I put the over under at 18.5, where do you think you are?
Just slightly under. I mean, It's up in the teens. The day everything happened, I couldn't stop scrolling, and then the same thing Monday, same thing Tuesday, same thing Wednesday. You just diving into all of it. So yeah, I mean, you got to say like the tournament is the first winner.
Yeah, I mean, the tournament, the Masters stays the Master. I mean, it really is. I don't begrudge anybody if they say the U.S. Open or the Open Championship is their favorite tournament in golf because, different strokes. Right? It's like they are very, very different golf tournaments. But there is just some, special, ineffable quality about Augusta National and the Masters that makes it my personal favorite golf tournament to watch. And I think a lot of people feel the same way, including one Rory McIlroy, who, by the way, that's the first name on the list. Biggest winner of the 2025 Masters. Shocker, Rory McIlroy. Does that? I don't know, man. Did you read? So please go ahead.
Well, I was gonna keep moving.
Well, I was going to say, did you get a chance to read Kyle Porter's latest article / newsletter he sent out with Normal Sport?
I did not.
And it was really, really beautifully written. And again, unsurprisingly, it was about Rory McIlroy. He cannot stop writing about Rory McIlroy, just in the same way that I can't stop reading about Rory McIlroy. And it was an article that he wrote titled "The Great Unburdening," and it was essentially just about how, whether to whatever degree of golf fan you are, there's something that all just sports fans and really just people in general got out of watching Rory win last Sunday. And it was just one of those things where, essentially the article boiled down to all of us have something, some sort of burden that, we're carrying around, something that's, we've been meaning to accomplish, we've been wanting to do forever, something that we've come up short trying to achieve. And that being able to so visibly see Rory in that same situation was so relatable. Whether or not it's related to golf or anything like that, that I believe this is a quote that Rory had in his post-game press conference page. Now that I've been able to do it, I maybe didn't realize the burden I'd been carrying all this time. And that is something that is so relatable on a human level that I think Rory has given golf fans and sports fans, again, just one of the most relatable and human outcomes for someone that eventually was able to finally summit the hill, that this is a win. He's not just a winner on this list for me, Beige. I mean, Rory McIlroy is, I think, going to be considered a winner forever. Like I said, this guy's won almost 40 golf tournaments, but this tournament in particular, and the way in which he won, and the way he was able to exercise the demons that he did, is just something that is just, again, so relatable and just so cathartic. For everybody. So yeah, great job by Rory.
I agree. I mean, somebody else would be. It took 9 seasons for LeBron James to win the World Championship, and he had to make some serious changes as well. Obviously, team sports are a little bit different, but there are some other similar unburdenings that have occurred. But that's a really good way to put it. So I think for time's sake, we gotta talk about some of the other.
You got to turn and burn, huh?
Yeah. Dude.
All right. Who's next on winners list?
I'm going to steal some from the list that you put here. I think that Justin Rose, even though he came out a runner-up, I don't want to even use the word loser, even though he came out a runner-up, you're in your mid-40s, you're continuing to compete at this high level. You won over the hearts of golf fans. There are so many people that had to make right and make good the idea that you might beat Rory, and we were okay with that. So big up on points to Rosie.
Yeah, and honestly, back-to-back runner-up finishes in major championships, last year at Royal Troon and now Augusta National. I thought he was just incredible in his post-round press conference that he did. I think there was even some like a journalist that kind of really tried to bait him into like an answer, but he's like, so I got to be honest with you, man. Like, I think he asked him, again, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's like, how much is this going to sting? And just how frustrated do you get by not being able to get it done, coming so close and things like that? And Justin Rose, to his credit, is like such a pro's pro, and that he's like, look, man, like I understand that you kind of want me to be upset, but like I'm just so proud of the way we fought, and I that may sound hacky, but like this is a game where like a lot of stuff is out of your control. All you can do is the best that you can, and I feel like I went out and I played a fucking great round of golf today. I did everything that I could try to do, and best player in the world got me by a stroke in a playoff. Like this is something I'm going to look back on, and I'm going to be really, really proud of. And I think that is so. To have that perspective in the moment, like right after it's happened, is again, it's just a real tip of the cap to Justin Rose, and such again a pro's pro. He came out of this looking great. I think a lot of people outside of the my buddy's wife that watched with us last Sunday, who was getting a little upset with Rose asking everybody to be quiet all the time. Outside of her, there's not going to be a lot of people that don't like Justin Rose after last weekend. So huge winner for Justin Rose.
Yeah, he gave himself every opportunity to win that tournament, including his second shot on 18 was a great shot. If that putt falls, we're having a different conversation.
Totally.
But again, final
can
ups to Rory. I was just going to say the final ups to Rory. Like, did you see the tweet from Lou Stagner about the probability of him hitting the shots that he did 15, 16, and 17? Didn't even include the 18.
I did.
I mean, saying it's about 1 in 29,000 chance that someone can do what he did there.
That a pro could do that.
That a pro could do that.
That a pro could hit those approach shots into 15, 16, and 17 and have basically the whole proximity that they did for those 3 approach shots in a row.
Not considering the pressure of it being for the Grand Slam or anything like that. So, I mean, it was just, you look at numbers like that and go like, the fate was not on your side, Justin, and I appreciate you looking at it in a reasonable mindset.
I really hope those are not lost to time, because I feel like when people think back to Rory's approach play in the 2025 Masters, a lot of people are going to go immediately to the approach shot on 18, that, where he blew it right into the bunker and then missed the putt to like force the playoff. Just, hey, recency bias. We got short-term memories, but like, and then I think if you're talking good shots, probably the approach into 15 is what people are going to think of as they should, because it's one of the most remarkable golf shots I've ever seen in my life. But to be able to do the 3 straight holes of 15 and then hit it to 8 feet on 16 and then hitting it to 2 feet on 17.
2 feet. Yeah.
Like, again, for all of the guff that Rory has and will take about, subpar approach play, to hit those 3 shots in a row, like your boy Lou on Twitter, it's just it's incalculable how good that was. And I think I really hope you and I, let's make it our job as golf podcasters to make sure people don't forget, because it was fucking so impressive, man.
I already don't think about the approach in the 72nd hole. I already don't think about that.
Okay,
obviously, I can go back and remember, but it's not one of the things that I think about. I don't want to skip too far away from the winners. We can pop back to it, but it does beg speaking about some of the losers here.
Sure. And yeah, let's flip it to the other side of the aisle.
And the obvious loser that you and I both had were Bryson himself, and frankly, probably all of the Bryson fans.
Yeah, it's interesting. I put like bad golf fans in parentheses, and not just bad because they have like a different rooting interest than me. That's fine because I think question, when Rory lost the U.S. Open at Pinehurst last year, obviously we were all pretty gutted. We wanted to see history get made, but I think on the whole, after we were able to kind of process for an hour, we were able to take a step back. Like, man, that was not the outcome I wanted, but goddamn, was that a great golf tournament? Like that was the nuts right there. That's exactly, as a golf fan, that's everything you want from a final round in a major championship. And again, the guy you were pulling for didn't win, but fuck, that was an awesome golf tournament. And it seems like Bryson fans were very much not in that camp after this tournament from the limited amount of commentary that I was privy to afterwards. A lot of people saying like Rory's not good for golf. This is bad. It just didn't make any sense. Right, a lot of straw grasping from
Yeah.
team, not from Team Bryson, but from a lot of the Bryson fans / the Live fans.
Yeah, sorry about you. Here's the thing. Number one, from what I've heard from two people that were there, two separate parties, is that the energy around Rory was unbeatable. So if you want to be the fan that backs Bryson and supports him all the way to victory, show up and do it. And they didn't. Every single, all the tension in the air was living and dying on what Rory did. But where in Bryson's interview, again, they put a microphone right in a guy's face right after a bad performance on a Sunday.
Hard.
So
that's hard.
So he said some things that he probably wants to take back. But one of those things that he should not have said is, yeah, Rory didn't talk to me, not once. He didn't want to talk to me. That was, I don't know what to say about that. Maybe he was just focused. I was like, hey, Bryson, why don't you shut up? Because Tiger would never say anything to
Tiger never said a word to a single competitor in a final round of any major championship, period.
Tiger did so much worse than that. Even in 2019, when Tony Finau, a buddy, was like, hey, how are the kids? He's like, fine, and didn't say another word to him the rest of the round. That's a different Tiger. If you're talking about in the heat, how old's Rory? 35? 35-year-old Tiger? Dude, he would stand on the opposite side of your putting line so you could see his red shirt. He would walk way faster than you. He would hit different clubs and flash the number in front of you to fuck you up. Like, dude, get out of here with that, Bryson. That was
and there was gamesmanship going on both sides. Now I will say, like, not talking to your competitors in a major championship in professional golf,
that's table stakes.
Is totally fine. Now, not talking to your competitor, refusing to talk to somebody in a home match against somebody, okay, that's fucking weird, right? Like, it's like, hey, if you're out here trying to just like have a match, but also like go have some fun, yeah, not talking to your like opponent would be pretty weird. But given the stakes and where we were, and again, what you mentioned with Tiger Woods throughout the entirety of his career, that is so common. Actually, it's not. I mean, the story that I kept on hearing people share, after that came out in his post-round press conference was Tony Finau talking about his final round with Tiger Woods at 2019, where it was like on the second or third hole, he finally walked over to Tiger, and he said, "Hey, so Tiger, how are the kids?" Tiger never made eye contact and said, "They're good," and just kept walking. And that was the last words that he said to Tony Finau or Frankie Molinari over the course of the entire day. And you know who cared? Nobody. Was Tony Finau weirded out and like bummed out that Tiger wouldn't talk to him? No, he wasn't, because he understands. And I think Bryson, had he been a little bit more competitive, and I think had it ended up, say Bryson loses by 2, I think he would have still mentioned it in his post-round press conference. But I also don't think that it literally would have been a thing. Because again, like I said, the gamesmanship stuff was happening on both sides. Bryson waited until the absolute last second to get to the first tee. And if you think that wasn't intentional, you're not following closely enough. He wants Rory to sit out there on that first tee, knowing that he's nervous, taking it all in, and he wants to come in riding in, high-fiving everybody, get the crowd pumped up right in like the minute before they're set to tee up. I mean, and that kind of stuff was going on in terms of guys like putting out when, they were close to it. This stuff is happening all the time. It's part of the game. And I don't know. It seems a little silly.
You tell me right now that when Michael Jordan was running down the court, he was chopping it up with Karl Malone in 1997.
Yes, precisely.
No way, man. As a matter of fact, if there's in all of the other sports, if there are any words to be exchanged, they ain't nice ones. So I don't know, man. Maybe we need to make a move into more of that intensity. I know it's a gentleman's game, but I thought that was a real weak position. So big L for Bryson fans, all those folks. And you know what? I'm also going to give a big L to Liv in
I was
general.
going to ask you if this extends to live, our losers portion.
Yeah, I mean,
Patrick
there
Reed,
are.
solo third. I mean,
Here's what I'm saying. There are some fantastic golfers that play on Live, and there's no one on the planet that, if, in being honest with themselves, should say anything else. Because you have the names kind of in order of finishing in Bryson, Patrick Reed, Tyrrell Hatton, John Rahm that are fantastic. You have a past winner in Bubba Watson finishing T22. But look at the names that you really wanted to see perform. Jocko Neiman, +2. Probably hardly made the cut. Sergio coming in, the hottest guy on planet Earth, missed the cut.
Crazy disappointing.
Phil talks
especially
smack.
For my picks pool. Fuck you, Sergio.
Phil, DJ, Brooks, Cam Smith, missing cuts. So I don't know. Greatest tour on the world. That kind of says it right there for you, because you have a bunch of past champions and a bunch of major winners on that tour, and they came up and there were a lot more PGA Tour guys gunning for it. And I don't even think that's just because they were outsized. So it was pretty quiet from the Live crowd.
Well, also because it seems like a lot of the most vocal Live fans have essentially considered Rory McIlroy to be an official enemy of the state, and so for him to get the win, that's just like it's going to drive those people crazy. I'd like to think that the majority of people that like Live Golf aren't those crazy people that are always screaming at other strangers online. And that they're kind of like, good for Rory. I hope those guys are out there. It's just the ones that we hear about or see when you turn on the computer screen or your phone screen. They don't seem to feel that way, really at all. So, yeah, Live, tough for them. I noticed here that you wrote down Angel in our losers column. Tough.
Angel had an opportunity to be a real story, man. He really did.
He did,
and I think he didn't have a terrible first round, but I think his second round he got his doors blown off. I can't remember exactly what his second round score was, but I don't believe that there was a single shot that I saw on the main broadcast.
I didn't see much of Angel during the again, as we mentioned a couple weeks ago. I mean, this guy is coming from a detention-focused sabbatical that extended half a decade. So, I mean, I think he kind of threw us off the scent winning on the Champions Tour right before he showed up, being like, "Oh, no, he's still got." It's like, actually, wait. This is actually still like a PG. This is like a major championship in like the regular game at a golf course. It's like 7,600 yards. Like you're gonna have to bring it, boy. It's like,
yeah. Listen, he's 55 years old. It's not exactly that crazy, but anybody who throws up a number with an 8 in the front is gonna take an L for the week.
Maybe we move Angel to the Wanderers? Is he a full loser, or is that more wandering?
I don't know, bro. He shot an 80.
I also don't know where I'd put like someone like Nick Dunlap, who went 90-71. Is that a loser or is he a wanderer?
That's a man with some fight. He's got some balls to not go, I got a rib injury. That's why that happened. And we'd all go like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But he came back and battled, misses the cut by a mile, but puts up a good round, and he's not out of the woods yet because he threw up some huge numbers.
He did the same thing at RBC.
Well.
Now, granted, he kept fighting. Great, it's a no cut event at the RBC, but I thought I saw something like he went like 78 and then like 72, 70, 69 or something like that, where he kept fighting after a bad first day. I don't know, right? I don't know if I'd put him in the Wanderers or the losers, but I know that in his actual golf life, Nick Dunlap is currently wandering. Hopefully that comes to an end soon.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he goes into a no-cut event and does something like that. He did get progressively better. He went 78, 71, 72, 71. Or no, sorry, 69 on his final day, birdied the last. But he's also 21 years old. We're talking about different situations here. Like Angel, a 2-time winner, coming back after a win. You're like, hey, dude, I spoke about it in the preview. Like, I think this guy's got what it takes. Sorry about you, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That was a bad performance, and I don't know when the next time we're going to be playing is.
Yeah. All right, let's finish off our list of losers here, Beige. The next one I have, I like that. What do you think of the name? The Tributary Tinkler.
Is that guy ever going to play Augusta National again, you think?
Well, as I said, Tron Carter of No Laying Up reported that some Green Jackets on site said very adamantly that he will not be welcome back to Augusta National. But I also, like, if the guy qualifies, I don't know how they would not. I mean, again, Augusta National is a private organization. I guess they could technically do whatever they want, but like, if Jose Luis Ballestar at some point goes out and wins the Open, this Augusta National is just not going to honor his exemption. I highly doubt it, but I do know that taking a leak in Rays Creek They didn't love it, especially right at like he was like right next to like a restroom apparently. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
listen, you can forgive a guy for not knowing, but you can't forgive a guy for immediately going to the press after and go,
I do it
"Yeah, I
again.
did it, and I'd do it again."
Yeah, I think that was
Dude, just keep that one to yourself,
yeah. You know what? It's almost as if he's like 21 years old.
if that.
I did see something where somebody this was again this is a great quote that I saw. I apologize for not attributing it to whoever said it because it's really great. It's like, man, complete shocker that an undergrad from ASU wearing an upside down Sun Devils hat decided to take a leak in Rays Creek. Never saw that one coming.
These kids.
Damn kids. Also, this one might be a little personal to you. I feel like I had to throw this one in there, just to stir the pot a little. But I'm going to cut point. Aim Point took an L during Masters Week. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, do what you got to do. If you can use aim point and win, awesome. If you're going to use a long putter and like secretly anchor it to your chest
Now, this
and
one,
get away with it, that's fine too. I don't care.
this
Just
is
put the ball in the hole.
this is me cheating a little bit, Beige, because it doesn't really have anything to do with like the Masters, the tournament itself, is why it was a loser, but it's just part of Masters Week. The controversy of a lot of the kids in the drive, chip, and putt using Aim Point and basically extending out the competition, and it was a really bad look, and they're already now talking about banning Aim Point from future drive, chip, and putts.
Get over it.
Uh,
I just like, you got the Yankees using these torpedo bats that are just like functionally different than a normal baseball bat. And then the moment that happens, everybody goes, let's ban them. What's this like witch hunt thing we have against new styles of ways to play our games? I don't like it. I think like if a 7-year-old knows what the difference between 1 and 2 degrees feels on his feet and he can hit a putt, good on him, dude, because that's hard.
Do you really think they can? Because here's the thing: a lot of these kids in the drive, chip, and putt were actually just getting like roasted, and I think that is totally unfair. Because really, they're just imitating, their heroes, the guys that they see on the big tour. They're just doing what a lot of the best players in the world are doing. And so I do think it's tough. Fred Ridley had this quote on it afterwards that I wanted to share with you and get your 2 cents on. Quote: "Golf is a special game because it requires us to be considerate while also being competitive. Respecting other people's time, including, importantly, the fans who support the game, is a fundamental courtesy that it feels like Aim Point when you're stepping in others' lies close to the hole does not fit the bill. Therefore, I want to encourage continued dialogue on this topic, especially at the professional levels, which serve as the most viable representation of our sport." End quote. I don't know. Any thoughts?
No.
Okay. Yeah, we'll leave it there.
I think that if you're gonna address aim point, then you should address a 460cc driver.
Well,
And if,
again,
and if you're gonna do,
what an excellent way to say this, Beige, because the last loser I have are the two PGA organizations, the PGA of America and the PGA Tour. Now, you might be asking yourself, Kyle, we're talking about losers of the Masters. What does the PGA Tour and the PGA of America have anything to do with the Masters? Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is because the two organizations who have been more than unsatisfied with having this potential rollback, come and to drop a big old turd in their golfing punch bowl. Chairman Fred Ridley had to basically, in a sense, double down again at this year's press conference that he gave, I believe, on Tuesday or Wednesday of Masters Week. I'm going to quote Fred Ridley here. Quote: "Once again, I am here reaffirming our support of the governing bodies and their efforts to address the issue of distance. Together, the R&A and the USGA have been deliberative and collaborative on their efforts on this topic to arrive at a decision, which was, in fact, announced in 2023. Implementation is the next challenge, as we all knew it would be, and it's critical for the good of the game that all stakeholders work together as this issue evolves." Drop the mic. That is basically as direct and disrespectful as the chairman of Augusta National Golf Club is allowed to be to organizations that he's working with, being like, yes, this is something that we agreed on years ago. We all know it has to happen. And these two dipshits keep dragging their feet because they don't want anything to change because, the mommy and daddy over at Titleist and TaylorMade pay the bills and they don't want it. I don't know. Big L, again, that is as direct and as uncourteous, I guess Fred really could be. And yeah, L's. I mean, again, whatever the Masters does, it feels like they can kind of dictate how things go. So if Masters is adamant that distance needs to get solved and they're committed to doing it, everybody else will eventually fall into place. So again, the PGAs, where their stance has been the last year or two, losers. Or, yeah, fucking losers. I don't know what to say.
We'll follow the Masters into the depths of hell.
Goddamn right we will. That's all I got for losers here. Do we want to just finish up with a couple wanderers here, Beige? Or actually, I do have one more winner here. What do you got?
Well, hit me with a couple wanderers. I mean, let's send these people on their.
It's wanderers, the amateurs. This is the first time that I can remember in a long time, Beige, where not a single amateur made the cut. It was an eventful week. Amateur Noah Kent discussed having some serious back or neck problems this week because the beds in the crow's nest at the top of the clubhouse were a little too small. So, the annual tradition of the amateurs sleeping up in the crow's nest led to some back pain, perhaps some poor performance, but they still got to be amateurs at Augusta National, so you're never going to call them losers. But it might have caused them to be wandering. And again, like I said, first time that I can remember that not a single amateur made the cut. So, yeah, they were a little wandering last week.
Come on now, let's put a Tempur-Pedic up there and give the boys a good night's sleep.
Yeah, well, they could make a try. I don't think Augusta's incapable of affording some new, larger, single beds. That seems like that might have been something that could have been, possible. So, anyway, that would be. I don't know. Anything to add on the amateurs from last week, Beige?
No, sir.
No.
Strange to see it be so quiet. We always love seeing some rowdy numbers.
Sure.
From Neil Shipley and the like.
Another one that I had, Tiger, your guy. Again, not a winner, not a loser this year, just kind of like absent. But it's weird. Like the biggest, most famous name of professional golf was just kind of absent. I didn't have him as a loser, Beige, simply because like he still had a positive impact on the week. His announcement of his learning center that we discussed getting put together and the short course that he's building at Augusta was awesome. But yeah, just very emotionally wondrous, as one might say, just to not have Tiger in the fold in any way this week. I don't know. It just kind of left me wanting more.
It would have been nice to see some sort of a embrace of Rory at the end, but listen, just it was an interesting proving point that just because Tiger Woods isn't there, that doesn't mean that we're not going to have one of the most memorable tournaments ever. So, yeah, I'll always take seeing Tiger over not seeing Tiger, but he's also got yet another blown up body part and thus a non-factor.
Mm-hmm.
So. Hopefully he can heal that thing up and come back and win, 3 more majors and we can call it a day.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have this as a loser here. My last thing was Scotty Scheffler's second Champions dinner. I just have it as a wander because, he kept the same menu. I thought that was a little boring, but also the guy likes what he likes. So fine by me. I did see this quote that I wanted to share. Let's see here. Quote, "It was a quiet dinner. Quieter than normal," end quote. Tommy Aaron told the Augusta Chronicle. I don't know. It seems like the vibes were just a little off at the Champions Dinner this year. I don't know if it was the lack of Tiger, if it was the ongoing feuds that Phil Mickelson seems to have with Fred Couples and every other person in that room. But I don't know. I read in multiple outlets that it was just a very subdued atmosphere in the Champions Dinner this year. I'm going to go ahead and guess that is going to get shaken up a little bit at Rory McIlroy's Champions Dinner in 2026, Beige.
Hey, man. It's going to be a party. It's going to be a party. We're on a year-long tear, especially because, as I predicted, the prophecy will become true, and he'll be at the Champions Dinner a 4-in-a-row major winner, holding the entire Grand Slam that we talked about. Like I said, on January 15th, I said my take is Rory McIlroy wins all 4. And if it happens, I'm going to go. They're going to post that shit on CNN. Man from Tennessee is the smartest sports bettor of all time. Except I didn't actually bet on it. So
love that.
Who knows?
Love that.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's good. I guess we got to wait till 2026 to find out here, dude. That's all I got for winners, losers, and wanderers, man. You got anything else you want to add to today's program before we bid everybody adieu?
No, I just wonder when the last time we're going to bring up this tournament is this year. Maybe there may not
December
be December
31st, 2025 will be the last time that we bring it up this year, and I think we'll continue to talk about it next year as well.
We likely will.
An all-timer.
Yet Yet another fantastic major, a great week for golf. We got another great win coming up this week, and so I'm excited to watch some golf. I'm excited to play some golf. I'm excited to have little golf dreams. I'm just golf season is here, baby.
That's right, baby. And ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget, when you get out there, don't forget that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. You find a lot of fairways that way. And with that, we bid you adieu. We'll see you next week. Until then, hit 'em straight, folks.